Hello and welcome back to another video from me, FPL Crusader. My name's Luke, call me Luke or Crusader, whatever you want. Today we're going to look at the Assistant Manager chip, the AssMan chip. As you can see down the bottom, this chip really intrigues me. I'm an AssMan enthusiast from way back. But let's have a talk about the AssMan chip today, I should say. I'm running through what I can see now as the best options for the AssMan chip. This is based on the Fixture Ticker on FPL Team, which is also has the projected fixtures from James from Planet FPL. So thank you to both of them. So this is using FPL Team for the fixtures, but obviously as we get more double information after game week 25, that could change. But as for now, this is what I'm looking at. So let's crack on to the AssMan chip. First of all, famous AssMan in history. Those who like Seinfeld will know that Kramer was the AssMan for a while there. There was an episode where he got a personalized plate and got mixed up with a proctologist, and Kramer was the AssMan for a while. For Attitude Era wrestling fans like myself, Billy Gunn was the AssMan. His finishing move was the Fame Asser, and he always pointed at his butt. He was a tag team partner of a white rapper wannabe, but Billy Gunn was the AssMan. And if you actually Google him now, he still wrestles at wrestling now at over 60, and he looks still ripped. Another one that I found, I was looking for three famous people called AssMan. There's a guy called Dick AssMan. He's a Canadian gas attendant. The jokes just write themselves. Anyway, long story short, he had a brief claim to fame when he appeared on the David Letterman show in 1995 because of his name was in a Canadian newspaper, and they found him. So Dick AssMan is probably the most infamous AssMan, but I'd say Kramer. He's my number one. All right, what is the Assistant Manager chip? So all about FPL. Thank you for them for putting this beautiful looking price reveals. So I'm using that for them. So shout out to them. Like and subscribe and follow them just after you like and subscribe myself. What is the Assistant Manager chip? So it's playable for 3 game weeks, and you can activate it from game week 24 onwards. You can also interchange between managers, but that does take a transfer. You get 6 points for a win, 3 points for a draw. These other points are counted out. You get 1 point per goal scored and 2 points per clean sheet. If they win versus a club that's 5 places higher than them, instead of 6 points, they get 16 points. And if they draw that club, instead of 3 points, they get 8. Now, this is very difficult. If it was right now, I'll go Tottenham because they've got a couple of tough games coming up. But if they get a draw against Arsenal this week, for instance, they're going to smash 8 points. And that's, as you'll see later from the points that I've tallied up myself, 8 points goes a long way. That being said, if you see a club like everyone's mentioning Palace last season, if Everton go on a run or West Ham go on a run over the next couple of weeks, and you can really jump into them. Manager prices are between 1.5 million and 0.5. I mean, unless they're going on a run, you're not really going to go for 0.5. But as I said, Potter or Moyes, that could really impact your rank. My advice would be to play it in a double. It is a powerful chip. If you have a double game week and they have 2 games and they score 2 goals in each game, that's an extra 4 points. And if they win those, that's 12 points. You're looking at 16 points you wouldn't normally get. That could really do damage this year. So that's just something to think about. Arteta, Maresca, Slot, Guardiola, Howe, all 1.5. Then it breaks down to 1.1. As you can see down the bottom there, Areola, Hertzler. You probably can go for them because they're not winning at the moment. Silva, we're not that good at the moment. We just lost overnight to West Ham due to errors. So Postecoglou is one that could go. He's only 1.1, so you don't need a lot of your budget, and they score lots of goals. So that's one I'll be thinking of. Emery, Frank, and the list goes on. I'll let you look at that yourselves. I've had a look, and there's a few games that I think we can focus on, a few game runs we can focus on, and a few managers. So first one is Slot for Liverpool. The first double comes up in game week 24, Bournemouth and Everton. Then he's got Wolves at home and City away. So I've projected 2 wins and 2 draws there, no defeats. The draw will be away to City and also Everton. 2 tough games, 2 derbies essentially. And I think they'll find it tough. But they'll still score goals. They'll score 8 goals over those 4 games, which will give them another 8 points. and they should clean against Bournemouth or Wolves. I would assume Wolves at home they'd clean. So that's a total of 28 points. So if you play your chip in game week 24, I project you're going to get 28 points. I'm nowhere near an expert. I'm just telling it up to help myself try and get an idea of what points. In terms of Onslaught, there's another entry point from game week 31 to 33. Fulham, West Ham at home, Leicester away, and Villa away. They should get 3 wins there. I think Villa will be the tough one. They might get a draw against Villa, away to Villa, depending on how teams are going in Europe at the time. 9 goals, 2 cleans, 34 points. 34 points is pretty good. If you get anything over 20, 25 points, I think it's really good. A lot of people saying this chip is useless, but then others are saying it could be the best chip. That just means that we don't know what to expect from this chip. But 34 points, geez, I'd take 34 points, wouldn't you? This morning, if I had 34 points, I would have been inside the top million, and I'm 3 million now. So there we go. Ange, the AssMan chip for Big Ange. I've put game week 25 there for Fulham because that could be where it slots in, but we haven't had information. If not, you don't play it. I would always play it on a double game week. 2 wins, 12 points, a couple of draws. So I'm expecting him to draw against the Manchester teams. Even though they're at home, they're still leaky. They might draw. They might win against United, but then they could draw against us. We're pretty good against Spurs. I don't expect them to be cleans because they can't clean, but they should score a lot of goals. So 27 points for Ange. He's only 1.1. If budget's an issue, Ange is the one to go with. 27 points for Tottenham scoring goals. You don't even need Tottenham players in your team, really, because they're not going to get excess goals, excess clean. So you just need to thrive off that. The issue with Onslaught earlier was that you might already have 3 Liverpool, especially for the doubles. It's hard to fit them in. Eddie Howe, especially having 3, I have 3 Newcastle. Eddie Howe's got to run from 31 to 30. It's basically 31 to 34. It's bookended by Leicester and Ipswich. So I've done both of them. So 31 to 33, they've got Leicester, United, Villa, and Palace. 2 of those are at home. I expect 3 wins, and I expect a loss there by the looks of that. Just away to Villa. I think they'll struggle. Newcastle struggle anyway away. Villa and Newcastle, even though Newcastle are playing extremely well now, I don't expect it to continue for the rest of the season. And this is 13 game weeks away. So I'm chalking that up as a loss for them. They'll beat United, they'll beat Leicester, they'll beat Ipswich, they'll beat Palace. So for 31 to 33, it's 10 goals, 3 wins, and a clean, which will be a Leicester game, and that's 30 points. I expect 2 cleans. I don't expect the clean at Leicester. I expect the clean for Manchester United because they're not scoring, or Crystal Palace. But in 32 to 34, I expect a clean at home to Ipswich as well. So that increases their points to 32. Now, 32 is a really good run. As you can see from 32 to 34, that's 3 home games. We know how good Newcastle are at home. 32 points. That's a serious consideration for me. Newcastle, and as I said, I need to get rid of either Gordon, Hall, or Isaac for myself. If any of those are injured, I could bring in Howe, but if they are injured, that'll affect their performance. Do we dare go back to Pep after the season he's had? 35 to 37 looks schmick. He's got 3 home games: Villa, Bournemouth, Wolves, away to Southampton. I expect 3 wins and a draw here. The draw will be at home to Villa. They'll beat Wolves, they'll beat Bournemouth. I can only really see 1 clean, and that's away to Southampton. But I'm expecting a lot of goals, at least 3 goals per game. The first 2 games, they could score quite a few goals. And I expect a big 35-point return here from Pep. I kind of like playing the end of the season as chip, chip, chip. I've used my wildcard game week 21. So I've already used my triple captain. So I've got bench boost, free hit, and then the big AssMan to go. So I think might go bang, bang, bang and see how we go there. This one's probably the favored one for me. That being said, I need to chase. So if I do need to chase, and I'm not really reliant on City, and I don't think they'll get cleans, this man, David Moyes, has gone back to Everton from 35 to 37. They've got a half-decent run where they've got Ipswich and Southampton at home, and they're bookended by the West London teams of Fulham and Chelsea. Now, depending on where Fulham and Chelsea are on the table, they could be on the beach. I know generally over the last couple of years, Fulham hasn't been in contention for Europe. We also haven't been in contention for relegation. So 2 out of 3 games towards the end of the season, we kind of just phone it in. As frustrating as it is for a fan, it's something to consider. That's why I think Everton, who need to fight for everything they've got, because they need money to bring new players in next year, they should get the 2 wins. As I said, bookended by Ipswich and Southampton at home, and I expect those to be cleans. And they'll get a draw between either Fulham or Chelsea, one of those two. They would have had more points, but they don't score a lot of goals. So I'm only expecting 8 goals across this 4-game stretch. So it's only 2 goals per game. But they're still going to get 32 points with that clean. Now, it depends on how Moyes goes in terms of the cleans and the defense. It'll never be as good as Sean Dyche, but they've still got plum fixtures, Ipswich and Southampton at home. Southampton will be relegated by game week 37. No offense to fans, but it's a fact. And they will probably be on the beach themselves. So I expect that to be a rout. Whether or not Everton can actually rout anyone, I'm not entirely sure. That's why I've only put it at 32 points. Here's the table. Let me go back. Here's the table. So these are projected. So it's nowhere near accurate, but it's just my thoughts. Pep, Arne Slot, and Moyes and Eddie Howe all over 30 points. Eddie Howe's bang on 30. Slot and Ange are under 30. So the ones I'm seriously considering are the top 3 or 4. 32 to 34 for Eddie Howe, 35 to 37 for Moyes and Pep, and 31 to 33 for Arne Slot. We'll probably pick you up in the vicinity of 30-odd points, all things going well. Realistically, it's probably going to be 35 to 37. If City aren't playing that well and I need to chase more points again and again and again, I will probably go something like Everton, depending on how their offense output is going. I'm not saying that he'll make them turn a corner, but I mean, his offense has to be better than it has been. So hopefully, for my selfish sake, David Moyes will be the person to go with. So that's my AssMan chip table. This is my AssMan chip pod. I hope you liked it and got a little bit of information out of it. It's really something to think about in terms of where you want to play it, because it takes 3 game weeks. Play it in a double, because then you get 4 games out of it. You can't play another chip during that. So if you're going to play it in a double, but you wanted to play your wild card or your bench boost or any of the other chips, just keep that in mind that you can't do that. You can only play 1 chip at a time. So set and forget that 3 game weeks, and then you're good to go. You also need to remember that we have to have the budget for it as well. That'll do me. Thank you very much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I said, leave me a comment or like and subscribe if you could, but leave a comment on who you're thinking about doing your assistant manager chip with. I'll have some more chip strategy coming up later on in the week as well. So hopefully that helps us all move forward and get those greens. Thanks very much. My name's Luke, FPL Crusader. Have a good game week. Cheers.